So basically in this case, in this example, my main objective is just calculate a customer life cycle. Okay. Or you can say the customer tenure. So when you're talking about the customer tenure, it means what? When the customer first time came for a transaction, and what is the last time he came for the transaction? Okay, so difference between it is known as your tenure or your life cycle of a customer. Okay, so I'm just assume that I'm creating a small data set, data sales. Okay, so here you can see that I have a small data set. This is one of the real example where I'm just calculating a customer life cycle, a customer tenure, that how many months or how many days or how many years he is with us. So here you can say I have two stores, S1 and S2, which contains 4 customer, C1, C2, C3, C4, and their sales rate when they are done transaction with us and the what sell. Okay. So the first thing is that when you are looking for a customer tenure, first thing you have to figure it out when the customer has done the first transaction. Okay. So when you're talking about the first transaction, then we are using the first option. Okay. So I already told you that whenever we are using the by statement, first we have to sort our data. Okay, so in this case, first we have to sort our data. So here we are first sorting based on the store ID, customer ID, and the sales date. Just a minute. Okay, store, not store ID. So my data has been sorted. So you can see here your first transaction for C1 is the 1st Jan 2009. For C2 is the 1st Jan 2013. For C3 is the 1st December 2009. And for C4 is the 1st November 2013. Okay. And their last transaction for C1 is 17 June 2016. For C2 is a 20 December 2014. For C3 is 20 March 2014. And for C4 is 17 December 2016. Okay, now we are looking for the first transaction. The data, your output data set name, set statement, because here we are using the first option, first statement. Then by customer ID, because you are doing analysis at the customer level, then you have to specify if first customer ID equal to 1, then output, and then run. Basically, no need to write proc print data equal to data set name, run each and every time. I am using to just show the output. Okay, so when you work in the real time scenario, then no need to write proc print each and every time after each procedure or data step. Here I am using to just show you the output, just make you understand that how it's working. So here you can see I have 4 customers, C1, C2, C3, C4. So I got their first transaction details for all the 4 customers. Now I am doing the same thing to get the last transaction. So if anyone has any doubt or question, they can stop me. Okay, so again I am doing the same thing, but in this case I am using, because I am looking for the last transaction. Again, data, my output data set name, set statement, still my input data set is same. Again I am making the based on the customer ID. I already sorted my data, so no need to do it, no need to sort your data again. Now I am looking for the last transaction, so I am using the last option or last statement. Okay, if last dot customer ID equal to 1, then output. Oh, sorry. Should be L. So here I got the last transaction detail of each and every customer. So I am running it both together, so you can see the difference. The first table is giving you the first transaction date, and the second table is giving you the last transaction date. You can see the difference. Just forget about the sale. You have to just focus on the sales date. So this is the real-time example that how we use all the data star and the prog star to get our desired output. Okay. So here you can say I am getting 2 tables. Okay. So which the first table is giving the first transaction date, and second table is giving the last transaction date. So now I want a difference between those 2 dates. Okay. So first both tables should be on the same level. Okay. So for this we have to use the merge statement. Okay, so here you can see that store and the customer ID is fine. Sale and store we don't require. So here we can do some of the options which we already discussed. Keep and drop. Okay, so what we can do it first, we can use keep and drop here. You can use keep, or if you want drop, it depends on your requirement. So first table it contains all the column, but second table is containing only the customer and the sales rate. Okay. The same thing I am doing in the down also. Here I am getting the first table, I am getting all the columns. But in the second table I am getting only two columns. The rest of the two stored in the cell I just removed it. I am just keeping only customer and the sales rate. Okay, so now you can see this is your first table. Okay, which is contain the customer and here your first transaction date. And this is your second table which also contain the customer ID and your last transaction date. So one thing is that in this case you just look out, your column names are same. Okay, so if you merge those two tables, the first table which contains your first transaction date and the second table which contains your last transaction date, it will overlap each other due to same name. Okay, so you have to do some rename process to just avoid that overlapping. So I am doing this thing in the same case here itself. So you can see here, first in the first transaction date, the sales date column I replaced with the first trans, and for the last transaction table, I renamed sales date with the last trans. Okay, I changed the variable name here. So now I will run it. You can see it. Variable name has been changed. Okay, the same thing with the last transaction also. Okay, so now as per your analysis, both data should be on the same level at customer ID. So the customer ID should also contain a first table, first transaction date and the last transaction date. So for this, when we have to join two tables in the vertical level, then we use the merge statement. Okay, so I'm just showing you that in a small calculation we have to do a lot of steps. Okay, so here we are using the merge again data. I'm making the final table. Merge. So in both tables the customer ID is common. And then run. So now you join two tables at the vertical level by using merge statement. So now you can see this is the first transaction date and this is the last transaction date. So now again, if you want to use if you have to calculate tenure, then you have to take difference between these two dates. Okay, which we can calculate by using int ck function. Okay, so I'm making data. So if you look on the year, then you can make it as a year. Specify your variable name. So here you can see the difference. For C1, the tenure in the year level is a 7. For C2 is a 1 year. For C3 is a 5 year. For C1 it's a 3 year. Okay. The same thing if you have to just look out based on the month, then you can make it as a month. Now it's coming in the form of the months. 89 months, 23 months, 51 months and 37 months. And if you want in the form of the day, you can make it as a day. So now we can perform analysis. Just like you want to know what is the average tenure. So what you can do it, you can use the prog means here. You can use the mean function here by tenure. Okay, fine. First you have to sort it. Sorry, I forget. Oh, sorry, I'm not using the by here. I use the where. Okay. So if anyone asks you that what is the average customer tenure in my store data, so now we can say is a 1538 days. So to calculate this small analysis, we have done a lot of coding procedure. This much coding I have done it to just calculate this single result. Okay, so I am going one by one. So one thing is that when you are working on the real-time scenario, you have to use the combination of your prog step plus data step with set statement with the different functions to generate your output. So first, this is our real data where we are using format and in format. So here I am using the dollar and without dollar. It means what? The store and the customer ID is your character one. The sales date I am using in format and format. So this is the date. Sale is a numeric data. I am using proc sort to sort my data. Here I am using first set statement, then first option to get my first transaction date.
Can you elaborate little condition after, like, if you are mentioning first dot cust ID equal to 1? So what basically this doing?
I think you missed previous classes because I had taken this one in the detail. But if you want, I can take it again. So basically, what happened, like when hello.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. So basically, what happens when you're working on the real-time scenario? Okay. So you want to know that when your first entry has been done in your data, okay, maybe at any particular level, then you have to
Okay.
figure it out. Then you use the first option. So in this case, what I am doing it, I just want to know when a particular customer or when my all the customers has done their first transaction. What's their first transaction date? So basically, first what I do, I just sort my data. Okay, based on the customer ID and the sales date. Here you can just remove store. Store here does not make any sense. Okay, so when you sort your data, it will look like
Yeah.
this one. Now I'm coming to your point. Just 1 minute. Let me.
I understand those things. This I just wanted to understand the logic behind this syntax of first dot cust ID equal to 1. So actually, I was not able to follow up your all the classes. So that was maybe because of that.
Yes, I'm coming to your logic itself. So here you can see
Okay.
I sorted my data. Okay, based on the customer ID and the sales date.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically what happens
Mm-hmm.
when you're working with the set statement and using the first and the last option. Okay, let me just recap again. I'm just writing it again for you. Data temp. So in the above, you can see that my data has been sorted. Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So here you can
Yes.
see
Yes.
in the down you can see C1 first entry. So your this value become 1, and what is this value is your X is containing your first dot customer ID and Y is containing your last dot customer ID.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your internally it works like this one. So for this is your second entry. So X and Y both are 0. Okay, this is third, this is fourth, this is the fifth
Okay.
entry. So for last entry, X is 0 but Y is 1.
Okay. Now understand.
Got it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so internally it will work like this one.
Yes.
Basically what happens, like when you apply first condition, if first dot customer ID equal to 1, you will get this entry. Okay, for customer C1, for C2 you will get this 6th row, for C3 you will get 8th row, and for C4 you will get the 12th row. Okay, in the reverse case, when you use the last dot customer ID equal to 1, then you will get this entry. For C1 5th one, C2 7th one, and for C3 11th one, and for C4 14. Got it?
Yeah, got it. Got it. Thanks.
I'm just removing, I just created for your reference. Okay, so using this one we got our first transaction date. So in this case basically I am interested only for the customer ID and sales date. It depends, maybe you want, you can keep other variables also, but here is not required for analysis, so I am just removing it. So I am using the keep statement here to just keep only two variables, and the reverse is a drop statement. You can use drop, store, and sell. Both will perform the same results. So basically what happens, like why I am renaming sales date, because when we are doing the merge, all the column names are same, so it will do a overlap.
Yeah.
Okay, to restrict overlap we use the rename. Okay, so
Okay.
the keep and the rename, I already told you there are the options which comes with the set statement. Okay, so I change sales date, first transaction.
And can we do it without like merging the both the tables? Can we do it still? Can we do it without merging it the tables? Can we get the tenure, or can we get the difference of that
Uh,
without merging the table? Or we need to? It's necessary to merge those tables to get that tenure.
no, basically what I am doing it. Basically, first thing is that I have to be in the same level. Okay. So first I should know about your first transaction date, and then I should get the last transaction date. Okay. Without merge, how can you keep on the same level? Because first table, one table will give me the customer ID or their first transaction date. Second table will give me the customer ID and the last transaction date. Okay, I have to calculate difference between these two dates.
Okay.
So these two values should be on the same level. Then I can perform any mathematical operation on it.
Okay.
You got my point?
Yes.
So why I am doing it? Because I told that first table will give me the only the this. Okay, 1 minute. So first table I am getting the customer ID and the first transaction date. Okay. Second table I am getting the customer ID and the last transaction date. Now I have two tables. Okay. So if I will not merge these two tables, I cannot get first transaction and the last transaction level at the same level. To make it both values at one level, I have to merge these two tables. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so same thing I have done it for to get the last transaction value. So here I am using the last option, like last of customer ID equal to 1, then output. Here I am also keeping these two variables. Okay, and then I renamed it again. Now last transaction date. Okay, so now I got the first and the last transaction date in two different tables. Okay, to make it a same level, so when we have to join two tables at the vertical level, then we use the merge. Okay, and the common variable between these two tables are the customer ID. So I am using the merge statement. So after merge statement, you can see both came in the same level. So why I am making the same level? Because after getting the same level, I can use the int ck function, so which gives me difference between these two dates. It can take in the form of the day, in the form of the month, year, quarter, week. In which format you want, you can use it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you cannot get a difference between two dates. Simple difference between two numbers. Because one thing is that when you're working on the real-time data, you have a millions of records, millions of the customers. You cannot get a first transaction date for by just looking it. Here, the data is very small, so you can just see each and every customer data. Yeah, it makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes. Yes.
So now, after this using, you can see about that. I am getting in the form of the day. If you want, you can make it as a year. We already discussed int ck function. It we used to get the difference between two dates. So here the tenure is coming in terms of the year. Okay, so now anyone will ask you that what is your average tenure for your data? Then you can use the prog means, and you can use the mean function. So your average tenure of your customer is 4 years. Okay, so maybe sometimes for getting a single analysis, you have to do a lot of coding part. So here you can see we use a different procedures. I told you the informant we use proc sort. We use the first option. We use the keep and the rename option. Here you use the last option. Here we use the merge statement. Here we use the int ck function. And here again we use the prog means. And finally we are getting a small results. So this is the one of the real-time example. To just get the what is the average tenure of your customer. In my data it's a 4 year. Okay, so anyone has any doubt or question, or we are good? Amit, you have any question? Okay, fine. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. Okay. Hello. So anyone has any doubt or question on it, or we are good?
Yeah, we are good. We can move.
Okay, fine. So today basically I have taken a small example to just show you that how we can use the different procedures and the statements to get our desired results. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm taking on another option is called as the year cutoff. So assume that you have a data like this one. So here you can see that about we have not mentioned century. So we know it's a DDMM format. Okay, so we assume that this will be 12 Jan 1999 and this will be your 13 Feb 2001 and this will be your 1st December 1960. But how can we set? Because this can be 1899 also, this can be 1901 also, and this can be a 2060 also. How we are defining our century? So when I am running this one, so basically here you can see in format I had given is a DDMM by 8 dot because my data is coming in the this format. But when I am writing, I am using the 10 dot. So 10 dot it means it will just show you century also. So as we discussed, is coming the 1999, 2001 and the 1960. So basically why these values are coming, because there is one option in the SAS which is called the year cutoff. Okay, it works only when your century is missing. So your by default value of the year cutoff is a 1920 to 2019. If your century is missing, then it will take the year between 1920 to 2019. So in this case, your century is not written, so it will take 1999, 2001, and in this case 1960. But if you want, you can just change this value. Okay, for this we use option year cutoff. So I am making it as 1820. or if you want I can make it as 1850. So now it will take the values from 1850 to 1949, 100 years span, 100-year period. So this value will be shown by 1899, this will be 1901, and this is 1860. Okay, got it? Or anyone has any doubt? Remember one thing, if you have to specify a century, then option year cutoff will not work. So if you mention like 1999 and you have mentioned like 2101 and 2060, then your option year cutoff will not work here. So option year cutoff comes only in the picture when your century does not exist. Okay. So any question in today's class? Yeah, there are the lot of options are there. Okay, but I am talking only the main one, which you generally use. Like year cutoff is very important one when we are reading dates. Okay, that's the reason I had taken this option. So I already told you the by default value of the option year cutoff is the 1920. So it takes So that's it for today. So I'm going to finish today's class now itself. So from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to start macros. That how to create macros in the SAS. Okay, SAS contains two prototype, macro variable and the macros. So we'll go in the detailed discussion. Okay guys, good night.